you won't survive that area. He's in prison right now because you've been Puffy. You've been watching it. You turn into Puffy. If you don't respect it, you're gonna do some time. You understand? And he was old enough to really get it together, but he didn't.
Why do you think that with Diddy? Is it because
Steve Harvey finally spoke about Diddy, but the part people keep coming back to is the timing. He said it after Diddy was already locked up in a New Jersey federal prison. He did not say it while his daughter Lori was actually dating him. He did not say it while the relationship was happening in real time. Now, suddenly, he has something to say. So the question is pretty simple. What happened between Diddy and Lori Harvey, if anything, and why did her father stay quiet while she was with him? The timing is messy all on its own. The Cassie Hotel video, the one everybody remembers now, was filmed in 2016. That was 3 full years before Lori started dating Diddy in 2019. 3 years. So the clearest, most disturbing footage of what Diddy was capable of had already been recorded long before Lori ever got close to him, and Steve Harvey has said himself that he had heard some things. He heard enough to avoid Diddy's parties. He heard enough to keep himself away from that scene. But when it came to his daughter, somehow she still ended up right there in it. So what did Harvey actually say on that podcast? He talked about watching the hotel footage, Diddy in a towel, chasing Cassie down the hallway, throwing her to the ground by her neck, kicking her. And Harvey said, "My goodness, what's been going on when you ain't in front of the elevator?" Those were his words. He said whatever happened away from the cameras must have been magnified compared to what the public saw. Then he called Diddy not a good person. On the surface, that sounds bold, but he said it after Diddy had already been convicted and was sitting in a cell. By then, it comes across less like bravery and more like saying it when it was finally safe.
You're living a life where there are no boundaries. You get whatever you want whenever you want. You've done everything you possibly have, and there are no boundaries. So you just keep going further and further?
Yeah.
Is that why you think?
Yeah, you have to, like I said, you have to practice acts of kindness. You've got to be a gentleman through it all.
And this is where it gets harder to sit with. Lori Harvey has never spoken publicly about any of it. No statement, no confirmation, no denial, nothing. So now her father is out here making these implications around her story while she has not said anything herself. Maybe he thinks he is protecting her. Or maybe her silence makes it easier for him to look like the man who finally called out the villain. Either way, it brings people back to the same problem. If he knew enough to judge Diddy this harshly now, then people are going to ask what he knew back then, and why he did not step in. Now look at the wider pattern people are pointing to. Start with Danielle Smith, the former editor of Vibe magazine. Back in 1997, she said she did not show Diddy the photos for a cover profile, and he told her he would see her in the trunk of a car. That stayed with her. Then there is Natanya Griffin. She testified that Diddy shot her in the face during a 1999 nightclub incident. He was acquitted. But after she testified, she said the threats came. That is what speaking against someone with that much power could look like while he was still untouchable.
I'm not saying, look, man, the dude's gonna have more than one chick. Okay, cool, I got that right there. But you don't have to be abusive with it and abrasive with it. And like, Puffy was doing all this, but boy, let me tell you something, man. And he was getting away with a lot. But when that video came out,
the one in the hotel room, you mean?
Bro, that's like you sitting there going, wait a minute, hold on, man. What you doing? I mean, bro.
Then go to the same year as Lori, 2019. Kat Passion dated Diddy too. She eventually went public and said the worst things he did to her were not consensual. She called him a demon, but she still refuses to give details. She will not say exactly what happened, and that is hard to ignore. Another woman connected to him in the same year, in a similar situation, still not willing to describe the abuse in full. Silence like that usually does not come from nowhere. It can come from fear. It can come from trauma. Sometimes it is both. Even people who worked around Diddy seemed to feel something was off. Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire, the former Bad Boy publicity director, said her spidey senses were always on high alert. She also said, "There's no safety after a certain hour at those parties." She said she never stayed late enough to see the worst of it, but she sensed the danger around the room. That sounds a lot like what Steve Harvey described when he said he had heard some things and stayed away. The difference is, Brookshire was an employee trying to survive the job. Harvey was a father, and his daughter was the one moving through that world.
So, Terrence Howard appeared on the PBD podcast with Patrick Bet-David, and the episode, this premiered on April 4th. Definitely making rounds because in this episode, Terrence Howard describes an interaction with Diddy where he says that he believes that Diddy was trying to have sex with him. Let's take a listen.
So, why did Harvey wait? Why did he not say something in 2019? Part of the answer may be what happens when people cross Diddy while he still has power. His lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, tried to explain the 1,000 bottles of baby oil found in the raids by saying Diddy bought them in bulk at Costco. Costco later said they do not carry baby oil in U.S. locations. That is the kind of defense strategy people were watching play out. They will say whatever they think might work. They fight hard. And Steve Harvey, a 69-year-old TV host with a brand to protect, probably was not trying to put himself in front of that whole machine while it was still running. He waited until it had already broken down. The question Harvey still has not answered is the one people keep circling back to. If Diddy had treated Lori the way he treated Cassie in that hotel hallway, with the kicking, the dragging, the violence, would Harvey have known? If anything happened to Lori that sounded like what Kat Passion described as not consensual, would her father have found out? And if he knew anything close to that, why was the relationship allowed to continue in the first place? The issue is not only that he waited to speak. The bigger problem is that he says he knew enough to keep himself away, while his daughter still ended up close to the same danger. That is the part that still does not make sense. And until Harvey explains that, his public condemnation sounds less like a father protecting his daughter and more like a man who finally felt safe enough to talk.
For you to be a public figure, wrap a towel around yourself and run down a public hallway, not knowing who's at that elevator. It could have been other people at the elevator. But you go around there and there's no one at the elevator, and that's your reaction to this girl? Yo, bruh.
Let me start with the uncomfortable part people do not really want to say out loud. Steve Harvey is not the first famous father to watch his daughter get involved with a man he already seemed to think was dangerous, and he probably will not be the last. This is not only about one dad making one bad call, it is about the way Diddy moved through the industry for roughly 30 years, with disasters, allegations, threats, lawsuits, violent incidents, and public scandals following him, while people around him kept learning the same lesson. Stay quiet until speaking feels safe. Harvey just happens to be the one whose timing is now sitting right in front of everybody. He is talking now, after Diddy has already been convicted on criminal charges, sentenced to 50 months in federal prison, and separated from the kind of power he once had in public. That timing is why people are not just listening to what Harvey said. They are looking at when he decided to say it.
You know, you've said I'm sorry to some people.
Yeah.
You've apologized. That's how you get through life. If you don't do that, man, you got to go to prison.
I think you hit the nail on the head as a man.
Go back to 1991. Diddy promoted a charity basketball game at City College of New York with Heavy D. The event was supposed to raise money for AIDS charities, and it was promoted like a major hip-hop celebrity moment. But the gym reportedly held about 2,730 people, while nearly 5,000 showed up. The crowd surged, people got trapped in a staircase, and 9 individuals were injured in the stampede. Nearly 30 others were seriously injured. 9 people. For most people, something like that would have ended a career before it even had a chance to start. There were civil lawsuits afterward, and years later, victims' families were awarded millions, with Combs held responsible for a portion of that amount. But with Diddy, somehow, his name kept getting bigger. Within 2 years, Clive Davis handed him a label, and Bad Boy Records became one of the most powerful machines in music. That same rhythm kept showing up over and over again. Tragedy, violence, threats, and Diddy still found a way to climb higher. So when people ask why Steve Harvey did not speak up sooner, the uncomfortable answer may be that the whole industry had already taught people what happens when you do not get in Diddy's way. There is a moment from the docuseries that has really stuck with me. An anonymous woman who went to Howard University with Diddy said she looked out her dorm window and saw him beating a woman he was dating, right there in the courtyard. She yelled at him to stop from her window. Other people were nearby. Nobody else stepped in. And decades later, she said she still feels guilty for not doing more. That is the kind of silence we're talking about. Not some giant Hollywood conspiracy with a secret room and a guest list. Just regular people seeing something ugly, freezing up, getting scared, and deciding to stay out of it. And that is what makes this whole thing feel so familiar. It is not always one dramatic cover-up. Sometimes it is dozens of tiny decisions by people who tell themselves they do not have enough proof, or enough power, or enough protection to get involved. That kind of silence can protect a powerful person for a very long time. In Diddy's case, it appears to have helped him move through the industry